Greetings and salutations, friends! Are you doing your part? Because Slytherin is doing theirs, having recently announced a upcoming Starship Troopers game called Terran Command, which is currently set for a 2020 release date. God knows we do not get anywhere near enough Starship Troopers games. Ever. For being such a cool universe with such a massively popular film, we don't get much in the way of Starship Troopers, do we? The only two that come to mind is the really ancient Starship Troopers Terran Ascendancy, I believe. That is ancient, but that was a fun game. It was way too easy and not overly strategic, let's put it like that, but it was quite amusing gunning down huge numbers of bugs with the mobile infantry and some mechanized infantry as well. Nice big fat walkers with chain guns and rocket launchers and so on. The other one was a first-person shooter by the name of Marauder, I believe, which was a middling at best first-person shooter that, despite its many flaws, I actually quite enjoyed, just because it was a first-person shooter where you fought massive hordes of arachnids, which is fun in and of itself. Terran Command, however, is going to take a bit of a different approach than either of those games. It is a real-time strategy game, but it'll be more in the vein of survival RTS rather than the mission-based RTS of Terran Ascendancy. I imagine if you think something along the line of They Are Billions, the zombie survival RTS, you probably will not be all that far off the mark, at least judging by the relatively small amount of gameplay we have available to us at the moment. So, what do we think? Well, first and foremost, it's a Starship Troopers game, which is good. Once again, in and of itself, the previous Starship Troopers game have been, not great, shall we say, and yet I have still been able to enjoy them a fair bit just due to the setting, how cool looking it is, how interesting it is. One little bit of an odd thing I did notice, however, was in a PC Gamer article when I first saw this, they mention the following. Quoting, "The dynamically generated campaigns will give you a planet to fight over, but while eradicating the bugs is your main goal, there will also be ethical conundrums. You can be the kind of commander who just following orders and do everything you're told, or you can rebel against Terran Command, costing you unique units and abilities." End quote. That is an odd one. Now, this game is being developed by a group called the Aristocrats, who made the Order of Battle, a hex-based strategy game series based on the Second World War. I've heard good things about it, but honestly, I have gotten quite sick of the hex-based war game myself, so I have not played it personally. And I do not know how familiar they are with Starship Troopers, but I cannot imagine any ethical conundrums with wiping out the arachnids. They are a unremittently hostile force in the Starship Troopers universe who launched a one-sided genocidal assault upon humanity. They don't play by our rules, and they do not subscribe to our ethical standards. Indeed, we do not even know if any form of diplomacy with the bugs are even theoretically possible. Which in turn means that the war between the Terran Federation and the bugs, a war the bugs started, is nothing short of a pure and simple fight for survival, where if humanity loses, it will unquestionably be wiped out to the last man, woman, and child. I simply cannot imagine what kind of ethical consideration we are going to be expected to afford the bugs in such a conflict. And the idea that that is even considered makes me a little bit worried that perhaps the creators have swallowed the whole "the Terran Federation is fascist and therefore more evil even than a mass genocidal civilization of monster insects." I mean, the fascists were bad, but there is still a little bit of a difference there, I gotta say. Anywho, assuming that isn't going to be too much of an issue, what else can we see from the gameplay trailers we have seen so far? Well, it seems to be kind of tower defense-y, hordes of arachnids storming towards fortifications. We can see mobile infantry set up in what appears to be squad formations. We can see bugs doing some bombarding. We can see some kind of scorpion thing firing lasers from its butt because Natürlichen. We can see big-ass walkers as well, and landing craft. So it's clearly based primarily upon the movie, but perhaps with a little bit from the books as well. By far the biggest issue so far that I can see is the animations. Now, the bugs have at least some animations that look alrightish, but the Terrans... I don't know if they even have animations. I mean, the infantry models appear to simply just spin in place and then point their weapon in the generalized direction of the enemy and then fire a stream of projectiles in their, again, general direction. The mechs, too, do not appear to have any kind of recoil on their giant-ass guns, so that's a little bit disconcerting. The sound design, too, could need a little bit of tightening up. The sound of the guns all sound very hollow and plinky-plonky. Now, for the rapid-fire weapon of the mobile infantry, that's fine. That is essentially a gun designed to pump out the maximum amount of ammunition as fast as possible with as large an ammunition storage as possible, which is pretty vital when you're fighting something like the arachnids. But the wall-mounted gun turrets, those are twin-linked 50 caliber machine guns. They need to sound a hell of a lot meatier than what they currently sound like. But, of course, the game isn't going to be released before next year, which, isn't exactly an ocean of time, but it's something, certainly. So hopefully the animation work and the sound design will be tightened up a little bit. I mean, this is a survival RTS, I'm not exactly expecting Company of Heroes level of graphics or sound design here, but a bit more than this would certainly be appreciated. Though, if I'm honest with myself, I'm probably gonna purchase this title regardless, just because it's Starship Troopers, you know? It's bloody Starship Troopers. I love Starship Troopers. And I want to play some good Starship Troopers. And considering I've been able to enjoy even the shit Starship Troopers, I'm sure I can get some mileage out of this one too. So, what do you guys think? Please do let me know in the comments down below. Are you excited for this? Are you a bit worried by the current janky look of it? I mean, even through my massive fog of rose-tinted optimism, I must admit those animations do look rougher than a Sasha Grey porn video, which is not necessarily a good start. And as for the ethical considerations we are supposedly going to be asked to give the bugs, that one worries me a little bit, because, I imagine in the middle of a campaign mission, your radio operator walks up to you and goes, "Sir, we have located the bug's nest, containing billions of their unborn children. Should we spare their lives, sir?" I then need to have the option to unholster my standard issue service pistol, shoot the traitorous sack of shit through the eyes, and then point to the next guy in line and go, "You're the new radio operator, call in the goddamn napalm strike." Because any other option is not one I'm going to be picking. And with those words of wisdom, I have been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Until then, have a good day.